Hello everyone, welcome back to Flying Solo with Kat. And in today's episode, I'll be talking about Ahsoka. And can we just stop for a second? Oh my gosh, she's gonna be here in 3 days as of when I'm recording this. I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if the community's ready for what's gonna happen. Of course, they had huge premiere events. Unfortunately, I did not get invited to those. How dare they? Oh my gosh, But no. But it was really cool though. I got to actually see some of the events that they had at Disneyland, they had at Disney World, and it seemed like everyone had a really, really good time. So I was very happy for people who got to go. That was amazing for them. As for the actual show and the reviews, I've heard very, very good things. And of course, I always say don't go off reviews, go off of when you actually see it. But I'm very excited. For this one, I'm just kind of be talking about my thoughts of who I think will show up, my predictions basically for how the series will progress. What will happen, who I think will show up, and my thoughts on how Dave Filoni and the MandoVerse will lead into the sequel trilogy, because that's really important for, honestly, these shows that are coming out after Return of the Jedi, that they do lead to something bigger than themselves. We're done with OT, right? And this middle section, the MandoVerse, is so integral to blending these two films, Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, together. And you could argue that they're already blended together and that all this stuff is not needed. But even how we saw Mandalorian season 3, which I will talk about a lot more, you get to see this, like, something else is coming. And it almost makes you excited, and it makes you also understand, for one, the First Order and the Resistance as two groups. And, for the Resistance, how the New Republic did not care at all. And the Resistance, they were telling them to stop fighting. There needs to be no more groups. Like, just, trust in, our non-existent military. And then you, of course, had the First Order, which were risen from the ashes of the Empire. And how the New Republic really didn't do a good job at taking, or finding at least, these old Imperials and killing them and making them feel like they were welcome and being welcomed back into a stable environment. Because as we saw in Mando season 3, I mean, they didn't seem like they cared that much about actually trying to run a better government. And that's one of the things, the political aspects of the New Republic, that I'm really, really excited to see, and actually where their downfall was. Because I get it, Starkiller is like a lot. Of course, people are going to die with Starkiller, and yeah, if, your main political parties are on Hostinian Prime and it gets exploded, of course your government's going to fall. But was the government in the New Republic already failing as it was? And that's why the First Order had such extremes to go get them. And I think that's honestly where Dave is leading us. And I say that again with Mando season 3, of seeing how they didn't really care, and how a lot of the higher ups, the senators and all of that, were just the same. Like, they didn't want actual change. They just wanted to benefit themselves. And I think George has always kind of instilled that in Star Wars, that political aspect that reflects our own world so very, very well, that I'm really excited to see what Dave does, because I think he can really, really outshine everything that was put forth and really make it believable in a sense. So I'm very excited to see what he does and all of that. But let's go ahead and get into the characters that are at least confirmed, and I'll talk a bit about kind of my thoughts on where that's going to lead. Of course, we're going to start off with Ahsoka. I mean, it is her show. I would hope that she would be the main character. I'm excited. I think I need to give Rosario Dawson another chance. I have explained kind of before, I'm not a huge fan of her Ahsoka. She seems very monotone, very just not really that. But of course, if you all saw my last video that I did not put out, I didn't put out the Haunted Mansion review, but I did go see Haunted Mansion, and Rosario Dawson was in there, and she was playing a character that I really liked, but she has that monotone voice with every character, and I'm starting to kind of find that out, that's just her personality. And of course, we've all grown up with Clone Wars Ahsoka, so having this older Ahsoka is a bit jarring. That doesn't have, much spunk. But of course, in Rebels, we saw that she was a bit more drawn back and still that warrior. So I think that Rosaria is really channeling the Rebels aspect of Ahsoka, the fulcrum. And I'm excited to see what she does with it. I don't really have anything against her. I really don't. I know a couple of people have said that she's said some comments about, it was about trans people or whatever. I mean, you guys know me. I probably should have done research on that, but it's like certain groups talk about it and certain groups don't. It's just interesting to me, and nothing's really come out, and it wasn't like as bad as Gina. So I probably should do research on that now that I'm saying, but I'm there for the character. Same with Gina. I was there for the character of Cara Dune. I honestly really liked her character, and I was kind of sad to see what happened with her actress, and to be honest, that was completely unacceptable. And I'm glad that she wasn't there, but recast. I'm sorry, I want to see more from that character. I think they really could have done something. That's not how everyone feels, but that's just my little nitpick. I judge on the character, I don't judge on the actor. And now if the actor does a good job, of course I'm gonna praise them, but their political views and all of that, I try to stay as far away from as I can, because I'm here for the characters. And in my little headcan head, all characters are super accepting and amazing, and even the evilest people can be very, very accepting. So even Palpatine, guys, I mean, honestly, just have that outlook on it, and don't worry about what the actor believes in and kind of what they're doing, and I promise you'll have a way better time of dealing with it. Anyway, sorry for the tangent. I'm very excited for Ahsoka, just as the character. I'm excited to see where she goes. Now, let's talk about Sabine Wren, my lovely, for a bit. I really do think they are going more towards the master and apprentice type thing with her and Ahsoka. Ahsoka being the master, kind of teaching Sabine, to find Ezra and to bring Ezra home, and going on this journey of Sabine finding more of herself. I am a bit not concerned. I'm interested to see where they take her story. I think everyone is saying that she's going to be a Jedi. I don't want that. I don't want her to be a Jedi. I think that as for her as a character, it was so integral that she was a Mandalorian and that she wasn't a Jedi, and that was really important to her character. I don't think Dave is going to throw that all away and just say, oh no, here's her midichlorian count. She actually has the Force. I think it could be written as, oh, everyone has some little Force in them, it just needs to be brought out, which I think is interesting, and I think that's kind of where Star Wars is at its core. But I don't see it for Sabine. Now, non-Force users can use lightsabers. I've written about that, and I've seen it, literally, in comics. I mean, come on, Han Solo using a lightsaber to cut open a tauntaun in Empire Strikes Back. he used a lightsaber. It's not like, mortals or Force Gnolls cannot use lightsabers. But it just seems that if people use it well, they are Force sensitive. And it's like either commit to it or don't do it at all. Because I don't want another Finn situation. You commit to it or don't touch it. Just say, yeah, you know what? She can use a lightsaber as well because she's that badass. So just do that. General Syndulla. Hera, my lovely, I love you, mother. I'm excited. I'm excited to see where she goes. I want her. I mean, we know she's there at the end of Rise of Skywalker because she shows up in the Ghost, which is very exciting. Now, we don't know actually if it's her, but I mean, it's her. At least Chopper, right? So I'm excited to see what her views are of the New Republic, of the Resistance, and just kind of everything. I'm really hoping that we get a little nod to Kanan. I don't know how that will be, but I think it's important for Hera's character. And even if she's moved on, right, I still want that little nod to Kanan. Or what would be way more interesting story is that she's still burdened by the thought of Kanan being so selfless and leaving her and all of that. And I think that would actually make a very, very interesting kind of thing for her character, which is really, really special. Then we have Ezra. I don't really know what Ezra is going to bring to the table. I don't know. Kind of hot take here. No one cancel me. I'm not a huge fan of Ezra. I'm sorry. He's fine. Like, he's not on my top 10 worst Star Wars characters. I don't know. I've never really connected with him and all of that. I do need to do a rewatch of Rebels. I think maybe I would connect with him more now than maybe 2 years ago. But I'm interested to see where they lead it and how that reacts with Thrawn and how that reacts with even Ahsoka. Then we have Morgan Elizabeth, which is the person that Ahsoka fought in Mandalorian Season 2. And she looks interesting. I think she's going to be part of, like, the dark side cult. Maybe she knows a lot about Thrawn, kind of where he is, which leads into Baylan Skoll, which is played by the late Ray Stevenson. And I've heard was a Jedi turned Inquisitor turned mercenary, which is honestly really cool. And I'm very, very excited to see where that leads us and what his story is. And then we have Shin Hati, which it seems to be kind of like his maybe Padawan. I am hoping, she seems very young, so I'm hoping, oh my god, please, that it is his Padawan and that he just, like, is teaching her the ways and wants to protect her. Oh my god, I'm a huge sucker. Y'all know me. I'm a huge sucker for just amazing Sith dads trying to keep their daughters safe. So, go read my stuff if that's your thing. But, I'm excited to see where that relationship leads. And maybe it's nothing like that, but that's kind of what I saw. But we really don't know anything about them. So that's 2 new characters, which is really, really exciting. And, of course, I'm sad that Ray Stevenson passed. That's just really, really sad. And, all my love goes out to his family and just to him. But I think he's gonna do a really, really good job. And I think it's gonna be nice to at least have him in Star Wars and something that, he will be immortalized in for the rest of eternity. So I'm very sad that he passed, but I'm excited to see his character and what he brings to the table. So those are all the characters that are confirmed basically. Now, as of recording this, we did get Anakin voice lines in the new Ahsoka trailer, which is a lot. And I think it's kind of confirmed now that Hayden's going to show up as Anakin. Now, this is the question. And there are two ways of Hayden showing up as Anakin. First, you have a flashback, Clone Wars flashback, or you have a Force Ghost. Clone Wars flashback. I wouldn't mind it. I would actually really love seeing that. Get a younger actress in for Ahsoka, and you get to see kind of the joys of what training a young Padawan was for younger Anakin. But if you want to see that, go watch the Clone Wars. Go watch the animated show. There is no reason that they need to do a live action remake of something that is already put into animation. Animation is a completely valid medium that you can enjoy your media with, and it is a way to tell a story. And there's no reason that there needs to be a live action interpretation of that. You have animated, and in my opinion, that's enough. It's not needed. So that's my 2 cents I'll say about that, because I do feel strongly about kind of Lucasfilm forgetting where they came from and forgetting that animation really brought Star Wars to life. And I think people and Lucasfilm need to get a little reminder of that. So that's all I say about that. As for him coming back as a Force Ghost, I'm all here for it. I actually think it's really something great. I think it's important. As for how it will be brought in, that's what I'm wondering. I don't want him just brought in as a Force Ghost to just bring him back. To me, I hate when anyone does that. As for, you need to have a valid reason to bring a character in. Like, you cannot just pander to the public. Do it in a thoughtful way. And I do think it is important for him to show up, because, I mean, you know, Obi-Wan showed up for Luke all those times. So I think having Anakin show up for Ahsoka would be really, really, really special. But for that, it just needs to be done in a respectful way and in a important story beat to either move her along or push her back, right? So I trust Dave. We trust in Dave Filoni, and I'm excited to see what he does with that. But I'm pretty sure it's confirmed now that, you know, it's gonna happen. So now we have my thoughts on who might show up. You kind of saw it in the thumbnail who I'm thinking, and y'all probably like, bro, what are you on? And yeah, you're right. First, I'm gonna start off with my beautiful queen that has literally been asked for by name for the past, like, almost 10 years. 10 years. Rae Salone, my lovely, my queen, my everything. I love you. If she does not show up in this show, I'm going to be very shocked. She has so much to do with Thrawn, so much to do with the Shadow Council, so much to do with the First Order, and so much to do with the Ghost Crew. Of course, New Dawn, she was there, and she actually had a conversation with Kanan. I have not finished that book yet, so if she does show up more in there, but she has interaction with the Ghost Crew, so bringing her back in wouldn't be like, oh, that's weird, you're just shoving her into an Ahsoka Ghost Crew story. No, she's already been there. For her, with her ties to Thrawn, of course, she left after the Battle of Jakku, and it's rumored, quote unquote, that she went to go find Thrawn, and she does not show up quite at all throughout many of those, like, very pre-First Order years. Now, granted, Brendel Hux is working under her, so she has contact with him, and he is her representative in the Shadow Council. But I want to see her. I want to see her as a person. Now, of course, she is mentioned in the Phasma novel, which takes place 5 years. I think it's 5 years. Yeah, it's 5 years because Kylo Ren's there. 5 years before The Force Awakens, and Rey Salone is mentioned by Cardinal, I believe, and because he questions Armitage and uses her as almost a, well, if she was here, you wouldn't have done that, whatever type thing. And Armitage says, well, she's not here, so I'm going to do what I need to do. Now, that can be taken as two ways. She's not here, as in has passed on, which, quite honestly, I don't know if I believe or not, but we need to see her death. If that's it, like, that was the only thing we've had to work off of. Or if she's not here, just meaning she's not on the Star Destroyer. She's not there. So we could really perceive that in two different ways, and I haven't really heard her mentioned ever since. Now, I could be wrong about that, but that's all that I quite remember. So please just bring her back. Like, we need to see her. She's very integral to the First Order, to Thrawn, to the Ghost Crew. Just do it. Like, if you're gonna introduce characters in this show, like, that is, like, my top priority. Like, just ask for one character to show up. Have her show up. Then you have Brendel Hux. I mean, honestly, bring Brian back. I would love that. To see him again. I'm sure he had probably a lot of fun in that costume. And I don't know. I don't know if he would be down to come back. But I do want to see him again, which I know is selfish, but I want to see him. People were saying that, okay, look, guys, it wouldn't be a Flying Solo episode if I didn't mention Armitage, which I know I've just done that like 8 times, but now I'm actually going to talk about him. People are saying that he's about 4, so, because he's 7 at the time of the Battle of Jakku, which happens 3 or 4 years after Endor, so I don't really know, like, how old he is, but he's young. He's not, like, a teenager, like, a lieutenant at all. So, I please, like, the Hux fandom is literally clamoring for just a little baby Hux, like, nod. Like, oh my god. Like, I would probably bawl my eyes out. Like, if Rey Salone is there and Brendel Hux is there, like, you can't not do it. Like, just, even if, like, he crosses through the frickin', like, holo call and then he gets yelled at or something. Like, that's literally all I need. Like, oh my god. Now we are getting comics. So I'm being fed at least, but, like, come on. Like, you can't not do that. And I, like, you know, I was just talking with someone. It's like the fact that they even casted Brian as his father and they kept it really, really in the family and stuff, which makes it very much like they literally are related and they look related. It means they have so much care for these two characters and they really want to see where this is going to go. And yeah, you hire on an actor like Brian and even Donald. I mean, come on, like, you're going to have to utilize them and all of that. But that's all I'll say about those lovely people. This one's going to be a bit hard because I don't know how people would feel about it. I would love to see Leia. We are getting Mon Mothma. That is also another one confirmed. And I would love to see Leia in kind of her senator attire, you know, of course, before Bloodline. And I would love to just even see a nod or even have her mentioned. I think having her mentioned would be a lot more respectful. My thought was that Billy Lord would come in and actually kind of play Leia in her senator attire. I don't know how comfortable she would be with that, and of course, her being comfortable is way more important than kind of my hopes and dreams. So having her mentioned, though, I think would be really, really special. But I don't know. I think it would be really cool to see her and have Billie Lourd come back in as, as her mother. And, really having that type of thing. But that's all I'll say about that, because I know I'm stretching really, really far. But that's what I hope. For another one is Bo-Katan. I mean, we saw a lot of her in Mando Season 3. So her not showing up would be a little... I wouldn't mind it. I mean, she, like I said, she was in Mando Season 3 a lot. Like, that was, like, her thing. So, as for Bo-Katan, I really am kind of excited for her. Luke's Jedi School, I think seeing Luke again would be interesting. I mean, Ahsoka has such, like, story with Luke and Leia and Anakin. And I think, Ahsoka just saying more with Luke about, his father and all that would just be really interesting. I'm kind of done with Luke Skywalker, so, I mean, I don't know. I'm just like, if they give it to me, like, that's fine, but, like, I don't need it. I really don't need it. So, I think it should be interesting to what that brings to the table, and I think we're going to be quite surprised with what we actually get out of these stories. I did also really want to talk about for a sec Thrawn's effect on the First Order, which I want that to be very, very integral to his character. I want to see almost, which I know is not going to happen, just of how playfully the First Order has kind of been shown, but I want him to be, like, not sure of Snoke, because I want him to kind of warn, like Ahsoka, like, you have no idea what is coming, and it's worse than the Empire, all of that. And, which I know a lot of people would probably be like, really? Like, you're just overselling it. But I feel like that would just be really, really cool to, like, Thrawn's, like, warning, like, the New Republic and Ahsoka, and, like, no one does anything about it. Which is what happened almost with, like, the Empire and stuff, right? So I think having that type of thing where Thrawn, of course he knows what's going on. If he didn't, that's just stupid. But it's kind of how his stuff with Pelion, with Brendol, with Salone, with the First Order, the Shadow Council, all of that, I think that will be really, really interesting. Now, for the MandoVerse, right? Of course, we're going to have a MandoVerse movie. And a lot of people are thinking, okay, who's going to be big bad? We have Moff Gideon. He's definitely not dead. There's no way. But for me, I feel like Moff Gideon was just, like, so... He was kind of, like, almost he just went out and did what he did under, like, Thrawn's orders, but Thrawn's actually, like, the big bad, and I want Thrawn to kind of be the villain of the MandoVerse, like, the new villain of the MandoVerse, and I think that can bring a lot to it. And then you have, of course, Force Awakens, and the First Order kind of, like, gets back into it and stuff. So I do hope just Thrawn has that influence on the First Order, and it will actually, affect how things move forward. And I think that's really, really exciting. But yeah, I'm really excited for where this show is going to lead, and, what's going to happen with everything. I think it's going to be really, really good. I think people need to give it a chance, and they need to really judge it for themselves and not look at reviews and stuff, and just watch it. Really quick, I do want to talk about some of the things that I've been seeing online, which just kind of, like, I don't know, I feel like we kind of do need to talk about it. Some of the things about, like, Andor. One review said it would make people who like Andor happy. And that was it, right? Which is great because Andor is such a good show and such a, I mean, it almost doesn't feel like Star Wars, which I think is why a lot of people that don't really care for Star Wars liked it. But that's all the comments said. And then it was flooded by comments saying don't compare Andor to this trash. Ahsoka could never, and not my Star Wars. And y'all need to calm down. Like, please. Wow. Star Wars is Star Wars. You have things like Rogue One and Andor, and then you have things like Attack of the Clones and Ahsoka. They are two very different pieces of media, but they're still Star Wars at their core. They're different, and that's okay, you know? Star Wars is for 7-year-olds. I don't know what to tell you. It's for 7-year-olds. And yes, you have adult things like Andor, and you can enjoy it no matter what age, but don't get mad when they make a show that's not up to your quote-unquote standards. Don't get mad when you have a pew-pew show like Book of Boba Fett, and then you have Andor or even Obi-Wan Kenobi, but even Obi-Wan Kenobi made people mad. So it's a kid's franchise. I mean, come on, like, guys. And this is coming from someone who is not a kid and loves Star Wars unconditionally. And I think people need to realize that not everything is going to be Andor, and if it's not Andor, that's okay. Andor single-handedly ruined and helped Star Wars as a franchise. It helped because it showed people that didn't like Star Wars that Star Wars could be something that was very mature and actually told a very, very good political story. And then it also showed people that any other Star Wars that isn't up to that par, they just don't care, and that it's not good enough. And I think there needs to be a very good balance of either or. And I get, it's one of the things that makes me really mad is like people saying, well, it's not like Andor, so it's not good. I love Andor, guys. I really do. Is it my type of fun show? Not really. I like having a good time. Andor really just makes me sad. It's beautifully done. Is it the best Star Wars show? Absolutely. I'm not gonna say that it's not. But, now best in, like, quality-wise. But if I'm gonna say my personal favorite, of course it's gonna be something like Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's gonna be something a lot simpler and something that doesn't take itself fully seriously. But that's okay, because it's all Star Wars. Like, it does not matter. So I just want to bring that up. And, you know, Andor peeps, I love you. I love you all. You're all amazing, and I'm glad you really found something in Star Wars that you could really like. But just please don't get mad at shows just not being up to par with Andor. I do wish, I'm with you, I do wish that shows did take a lot more of the serious route. But you can't expect that of a kid's franchise. You can't. You just can't do it. I learned that very quickly with Marvel. You can do it. So that's all I'll say about that. Please don't get mad at me, but I just want to bring that, you know, up. Now, very quickly, let's talk about the important stuff as a podcast format. Yay. As you know, I think you guys can probably hear I sound very, very tired. I just came back from a week-long vacation. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. But I took that time to really think about what videos work and what doesn't. My character reflections and deep dives do the absolute best. They get the views, they get the comments, and that's what you guys enjoy. My reach on Twitter only goes so far. I'll say that. But those take so much time, so much energy, and so much research. And even then, I don't do as much research as I could. I write all my scripts, I edit, I do thumbnails, and I post all myself. I do not have anyone that comes in and edits for me, anyone who does thumbnails. It's all me and it's all on my time. And I enjoy it. I'm not saying that, oh, I'm putting myself through so much pain. I really do enjoy it. I love doing the thumbnails. I love talking with you guys about just some of the things that we think that is really interesting. And I love just taking a deeper dive into these characters because they're so special to me. And I want to give you guys that content, and that's the content that you guys want, and I want to give you that. So with a heavy heart, I will be not doing any more movie reviews that are not basically outside of Star Wars. So now, okay, Indiana Jones I might have probably done anyway because that was such a good movie, but as I said before, I did not post my Haunted Mansion review. I had that video completely recorded. 42 minutes of recording. And I chose to not post it because it wasn't at the quality that I knew you guys wanted, and I knew it probably wasn't going to do well. Is that the smartest thing for me to do? Probably not, but I want to get this video out because Ahsoka is coming out in 3 days, and I wanted you guys to kind of hear my thoughts. So my channel will only be Star Wars and maybe the occasional one-off, as in me talking about Galaxy's Edge and me talking about some of the things that are going to happen in Galaxy's Edge. But as for Disneyland as well, I will not be doing any more videos on that, which is a bit disappointing for me. And, if I get more people on the channel, then I might go back to that. But for right now, every second, every minute counts for me to edit, to do thumbnails, and I need to focus on what you guys like, and that's really important to me. So, all of you tuned in are probably Star Wars fans and want to listen to Star Wars, so I will be focusing on it. That being said, next Sunday's video will mostly, next few Sundays will all be, Ahsoka reviews. I'll be talking about the episodes, what I thought, what I think will happen next. It just makes sense. We have new Star Wars. We have new Star Wars content. Why not talk about that? And I want to bring that to you guys. And I think that's going to be, really, really fun. And I'm excited to actually finally do a true show review while we have content. And then when we have a little bit of a content drought because of the strikes, I'll talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'll talk about some of the other shows. But if I have content coming out, why not make my, podcast about that content? It just makes the most sense. Granted, me saying that, there is a new Kylix comic coming out next week. So, and if y'all have not seen that, just go on my Twitter because everyone's freaking out about it. But there will be a video out if I'm able to actually get the comic in my hands. I'm going to read it, and then I'll actually do a review on it, me talking about what some of the things I saw with their characters and all of that, which is, I've already kind of talked about it on Twitter, and I have a lot of thoughts about what I'm predicting for the ending to be and what kind of is going to be, it's Hyperspace Stories number 8, right? It's supposed to just be a fun little one-off thing, but come on, it's Kylix, guys, so you already know me. So maybe we'll take an off week to do that, but then the next week I'll just add those 2 episodes together and just talk about them at the same time. So yeah, that's where we're going, which seems like a lot, and if y'all have stayed with me this far, I really do appreciate it, because I really am just talking so much, but that's why I love this channel, this podcast, is because y'all are just absolutely amazing, and I would give everything for you guys, and, we're nerds, we love Star Wars, and I think that talking about Star Wars is just, there's so much to talk about that I think having my channel be more direct with that is gonna really help it and really help you guys as well for content. So thank you all for listening. Like I said, I'm sorry I sounded really, really tired in this video, but I'm back. So anyway, y'all, I'll see you guys in the next one.